Hi, this is Reflections, and I'm NancyJoy. Here I was listening to an audio and CD of a class I'm doing, and the gentleman said, "Listen up, folks. Your emotions are your guidance system. Period. End of story." And I had to smile because, of course, I've devoted my life to the study, to the understanding, to the feeling of emotions. And yet, if you look at my chart, I'm an extremely mental person. I have my moon in Virgo, and my moon in Capricorn, and Virgo is my ascendant. So even though I'm a Libra, I have that definitely huge mental picture of things. But it's deep. It's a very deep Scorpion, Neptunian kind of thing within me. And Ezekiel, the emotional field that I connect to, I've always been taught that your emotions are telling you the truth. And yet, what have we been programmed and taught and learned? That your emotions are to be feared. If you have too many of them, you need to numb them down. Let's take a drug. Let's flatline everybody. If you suffer from depression, instead of getting the emotions rolling, let's suppress them. So then you get into a flatline state. And, the media, everything, everywhere you look, pharmaceuticals, the media, the news, even a lot of stuff on the internet, all aimed at being fearful of your emotions, how misleading they are, how you get stuck in them, how you can, all kinds of stuff like this, be afraid to feel them. Well, wherever you're being taught to fear something, it's because that's something that can really help you if you step into your fear, the very thing that fear teaches you. And I've said this before, and it's so true. I learned it years ago, that the truth of the whole big New Age body, mind, and spirit thing is partially based on baloney, because the three fields of your being are not body, mind, and spirit. The three fields are body, mind, and emotions. They're the three fields rotating within and around you. It's all spiritual. Spirit isn't separated out. There's nothing that exists because we're the God creators that is not spiritual. So, a sense, that whole programming has created a 2.5-sided pyramid. It's not whole. The three aren't there. The 3 points of balance that are necessary in sacred geometry and creation aren't there. They've been programmed out of so many of us. And so now there is a big awakening. There's a big awakening of the emotions, and a lot of the things going on are very controversial. We went through the whole thing of going back in our childhood and digging up our traumas, and then we got stuck on our stories and yada, yada. But now it's really the time to know the value of your emotions and to understand how they work. And now I realize why that's what I've been studying all these years, what my book, The Wounded Heart, is about. It teaches you the radical, conscious compassion, but beyond that, it teaches you what each emotion is there for. They were created to be our guidance system. Thoughts can wrap you around your axle. I mean, you need your thoughts. Your thoughts are creation, but they don't create until you put that energy of the emotion behind them. Listen to this. It was the big thing left out of The Secret. It's why people stopped reading The Secret and stopped following it, because they were doing all this, and for most of them, nothing changed. It's because what was missing was the work with the emotional field, where you have a belief system based that some emotion is creating something that blocks you. Well, you can't move it until you're willing to deal with the emotion and the block. It's also the passion and the obsessiveness and the joy of what you are creating that brings about the creation. You can sit there with your affirmation till you're blue in the face, and not that much is going to change. And you can sit there and say you're full of joy and love, But in fact, if you've got these darker emotions stuck within your body, you're not telling the truth. It's not real. So it is so time to get in touch with these emotional fields. And if this seems repetitive to other things, I don't mean it to be. This is another way of saying the same thing, because we are really moving in on both the comet Elenon headed our way. It's not a comet, actually. It's a dwarf star. And you should read up on that if you're not aware of it. And it's science. It's coming into our field. It's going to affect us sometime this fall. We're October 28th, the end of the Mayan calendar. We are right now in the fifth night of the Mayan calendar, which is why things have been so intense these past days. Incredibly intense. And have you noticed one thing after another? It's different for different people. I have a friend that's dealing with a lot of death and life going out and physical things happening in her family. For me and my husband Mark, it's been about access to things, to our driveway, to communications, to our roads, to our computers, to our electricity, flipping all over the place for the last 10 days. Almost everyone I've talked to is experiencing this. Well, your guide through this is your emotions. And if all this flip-flopping really has you wrapped around the axle and you're feeling really heavy and thick, it's because you haven't acknowledged and worked with and integrated those heavy emotions into the lighter ones to bring you out of it. And it's time to learn to do this. Let me just give you an example. What's the age-old thing? Everybody says, how are you doing today? Oh, fine. Or some people say, oh, better than wonderful, or whatever. Well, when you're asked the question, how you're doing today, that's an opportunity to really start to shift and work with your emotions. Let's say you're having a really bad day, like many of us have had this past 10 days. You're having a really bad day, so someone says, how are you doing? Great way to shift right here. Say, wow, it's been thick and heavy, but I am coming out of it. I am breaking through it because I realize this is my push and shove forward. Great. You've set a whole new energy field. You've been honest about what's the truth. You haven't said, oh, wonderful, better than good, when it's not, because that negates the good completely, and what you're attracting is more of the dark. So it's time to just learn the little tricks, learn the talents, learn how to do it. It's time to have fun with it. Even your darkest of feelings, it's time to embrace them and say, here you are, bring it on. I am ready to move through this and bust it up and move on. That's what they're there for. They're there to show you where you're stuck, where you're hurting. And so it is time to get a better grip on these things. We talked about this past week with clients, grief, the value of grief, the value of shame, the value of guilt, as well as fear and frustration and all those things. They're your guidance system. They're showing you what's not in integration and alignment with the new vibration. And when you learn how to work with them, they help you change those things. So this is good news this week on Reflections. I hope you'll take a look at things today and tomorrow and really, really think about this a little bit. There's a lot of info out there, a lot of great stuff on my website, of course. Sessions with Ezekiel and I, the private retreats here, lots of things out there everywhere. So take advantage of them and start to take the challenge. Take the challenge, start to consciously work with those emotions, understanding them, and you're going to feel a whole lot better, a lot more quickly, and you're going to be able to be guided clearly through the chaos of these coming days and months. So have a great week, and we'll see you again next week. Bye.